spin. In Project Economy news, the number of Hawaii residents without a job is growing. August unemployment rate edged up to 6.2% for the state. That's a 0.1% increase from the month of July, with nearly 40,000 people without a job. There was a loss of 5,700 government jobs from July to August, but increases were seen in the private industry with the addition of 1,400 jobs. And joining us this morning to explain it all is Sumner LaCroix from the University of Hawaii Economic Research Organization. Mr. LaCroix, good to see you again this morning. Not really good news here. We're seeing some of these numbers. The Hawaii's unemployment rate rising 0.1%, albeit it's 0.1%. How did this happen and why? What are we seeing?
It's a small increase. We also saw an increase in July from 6 to 6.1%. Now we're seeing an increase from 6.1% to 6.2%. I think some of this is coming about because of the weakness of Hawaii's tourism sector this summer. If we look at tourism, it declined year over year in July, it declined year over year in June, and it registered only very small gains in August. So I think some of this is coming about just due to a little bit of general weakness in the tourism sector and due to the overall lack of consumer confidence due to the circus that went on in Washington this summer over the debt limit and other spending restrictions.
We'd never like to see that in the private sector, but another area of concern is the number of people employed in the state also decreased. Which sectors are we talking about and what's going on there?
The state lost 5,100 jobs in August, and almost all of that came out of the government sector. The government sector lost 5,700 jobs. And so if we took the government sector out, we find the private sector had some small gains in jobs. I mean, kind of consistent with an economy that's experiencing slow growth.
And is part of that because of the federal, the stimulus money's not there?
It's hard to know exactly. I mean, the numbers just came out this morning, and I think they have to be looked at more closely. That includes federal, state, and county jobs. Some of the stimulus money is ending. The state's been belt tightening. There's always problems too this time of year with trying to figure out whether or not some of these declines are due to, say, teacher hiring that is causing some unexpected ups or downs.
And Sumner, we've also seen the stock market rallying a little bit this week. It's still a little bit of a roller coaster, but what's going on there? Is any reason why we've seen some increases this week?
I think one of the reasons why the stock market might have rallied this week is due to the fact that the central banks have pledged enormous support for banks in Europe. There was real fears that a banking crisis was about to erupt in Europe, and then all of a sudden we saw these pledges by the world's major central banks. We even have countries like Brazil coming in and saying that they're going to contribute to make sure that there isn't a banking crisis in Europe. You have the presidents of France and Germany saying they're standing by Greece. I think what that's done is that's allayed some of the concerns that we're going to see some imminent banking crisis come up in Europe. But that's really good news because that's the type of stuff that could drag down the U.S. and the Hawaii economy.
Always informative. Always thank you for your analysis, Mr. LaCroix.
Thank you.
If you'd like to see this interview again, you can always head over to the KITV4 morning section, KITV.com/thismorning, to listen about the economics and our financial situation here in Hawaii. We'll be right back.